Hi all, welcome to the channel, welcome to the workshop. So today I've got the next 11 stages of the Megazord. Now I also got 2 stages for the base because I didn't have it last month, but I've got the base back, so I'll get those 2 parts done first and then we'll move on to the build. Now you can see I've got all the Zords on the workbench at the moment, and now that's because I think with the exception of the T-Rex, we're doing something to every single Zord, and one of them is going to get completed today. So let's get into it. Let's get building.
Welcome to the workshop, tools in the light. Screws and glue, they're holding it tight. Piece by piece, it's a builder's delight. Making dreams in the still of the night. Let's get into it, let's get building now. Put it all together, I'll show you how. Screw by screw and a little glue too. Welcome to the workshop, it's waiting for you.
Right, so I've just quickly zoomed out the top camera just to show you the mammoth task of all of these Zords. Now this is an A1 cutting mat. It's absolutely huge, but it's dwarfed by the Zords. So, as I say, we are going to be concentrating on pretty much all of these Zords, doing something with every single one. I think we're going to start off with the Mastodon, then the Pterodactyl, then the Triceratops, and then finishing off with the Sabertooth. Now, we do have something for the Sabertooth, and I'll cover that first, because we've got some more spare parts. So I'm going to clear all of this out of the way, and I'll show you what we got. Right, so in the last pack, we had these spare parts, and we had, obviously, the half tiger head. Now, obviously, the idea is that we're changing this because of the colour. Now, you can probably see the colour difference there, and this camera, I think, does pick it up a little bit better. And if I stick that one over there, you can see the colour match is almost perfect. Now, obviously, if we'd done that, we were going to have half a coloured tiger head, or two-toned tiger head. So that's obviously why I haven't done anything with these packs at the moment. But in this issue, or in this pack, we've had issue 4 as well. Now you can see it's a full issue 4, including the remote control and all the electronics, etc. Basically everything you need to create the Sabertooth tiger head again. And as you can see, probably even without me taking it out of the packet, you can see the colour is absolutely perfect. So I'm not going to show you how to build another Sabertooth tiger head. You've seen that on the channel once already, and then you can obviously go back and check it out anyway. So just wanted to show you that what we had. So what I'm going to do is basically build this off camera, and I'll change it over. But what I will show you is how to take the head off. Now, luckily, with the head on this one, we've got this little rubber grommet at the neck here. Now, if you use a little bit of force, it'll slide off. And then we can just change that. Obviously, build a new one and change it. Obviously, we do have this rubber socket in here. Now, it might depend also on how much you've done this screw up. If you remember rightly, there's a little metal wedge effectively in there. And depending on how much you do the screw up, will depend on how far that wedge splays that ball joint out. So if you find that it's a little bit difficult to get on or off, then you might end up having to take apart this part of the Zord, which obviously is going to be quite a bit of this disassembly, and then you need to pop these covers out, etc. But hopefully, you'll be able to just do what I've done and pull it off, and hopefully won't have any problems. So I'm going to leave the Sabertooth to one side now, because we'll crack on with the first issue. Right, so we kick off with doing the base. Now, as you can see, 6 is that, and 7 is pretty much identical, and we're completing this ring. Now, as I said, I didn't have didn't have the base last time to be able to put issue 6 onto. But now I've got the base back, or certainly this part, I can continue. Now, it's pretty much the same as what we've done the last time we built the base. Which is align those holes. Now what I'll do is I'll just align everything and then put the screws in a moment. So 6 and 7 I'm doing. and then it's just a case of put the screws in just in the two raised points all the way around. And these are PWB screws, but they're 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 screws to go in. So I'll get all these screwed together and I'll show you what it's like. Right, so there we are. Got all the screws in that. Now, as I said, last time I didn't actually have the premium base because it was off with someone very special, very talented, and who's hopefully going to be doing something a little bit special with this. So stay tuned for more information on that. Right, so kicking off with stage 75, this is the Mastodon, as you can see. I believe this is the only part of the Mastodon we're actually doing. So we're just finishing off what we were doing last week. And we're going to end up with something that looks like that. So basically just finishing off the right rear leg. Quick flick through the magazine. Right, so here is our Mastodon at the moment and how it's currently looking. I believe this is going to be this side that we're putting on. I'm just going to lay it on its side because that's the exact first thing we need to do. So we've got this little tab here. That's going to go into that slot there. And that will align this screw hole. And we're going to use a KB screw through there and a PM screw through here. KB ones are these black ones. And that's going in there. And you'll find it much easier if you open up the Zord like this and lay this bit flat. And then we've got this PM screw, which is going to go in here. No need for oil or anything. These are actually pre-threaded, these ones. So just get that in there nice and tight. Just make sure that one's nice and tight too. And then we have these pieces. Now I believe they're both the same. Now, almost certainly that's going to need gluing in. That's really, really loose. So we've got one going on there. And if I flip it over, the other one is going to go in there. You have these silver pieces that are going to cover that screw hole. And on the other side, that screw hole. Again, that one's a little bit loose, so if any of these fall out, then just obviously put a bit of glue on them. And then we've got these circular ones that are going to go over those points there and there. And as you can see, that piece has already fallen off. So what I'll do is I'll get that all glued in off camera. But that is all there is to do in that stage. And that is what our Megazord is looking like at the moment. Or the Mastodon, I should say. Right, moving on to issue 76. Can you guess what we're working on now? So we've got the Pterodactyl's wings. Now, I do believe this completes this Zord. Right, so taking one of our wings, we're going to take this post. Now you notice it's got like a knurled end there. So we want to make sure it goes in this way and get that pushed in like so. We then have these silicone bushes. I'm going to put one on each end. So one on there and the other on there. Bringing over our pterodactyl, obviously remember we do have this nice shiny bit just here, so be careful when putting it down or moving it along your workbench, or put a mat down or something. Now, having it this way around, this is the left wing. And that's just going to sit in like so. Next, we need these three pieces. This one is marked with an L. I believe it's the only one that is marked with an L. However, when it comes to this piece, you can see it will only fit one way, so you can't really get the wrong one. I'm going to take this grey piece. I'm going to sort of slot that in like so. And then this is going to sit on top of here, like so. This one is going to sit on here like so. And then we've only got one type of screw, which is these silver screws, and these are PWM screws. And we've got one going into the hole there, and one going down the shaft there. That's one. And you can see now that's tightened that up a little bit as well. And if you go, make sure that is tight, and then that'll move freely. And then this one will go through here, like so. And just make sure our wing moves, which it does. Now, we've basically got to do the exact same thing for the other side. So, taking our right wing, that's going to go in there. Might need a little bit of a push on that one. Our two silicone bushes. Just push that one probably a little bit further. And then place that in there. So in that same little cradle section. We've got this one that's going to go on there. Now I'll just secure that one with a PWM screw. And then again, dropping that one through there. This one's got an R on it to make sure it's the right one. And with it this way around, I'll push that over the top there. And use our PWM screw again. Just get that one in there. And again, I want this nice and tight. See, that can move freely still. Just check that our wing comes out. Perfect. So now if I do this, that is our pterodactyl. And I just zoom out the camera, you can see the wingspan of it. Absolutely huge. And that is all to do in that stage. Right, so moving on to issue 77. And we're back on the Triceratops. So we built up this last time. And it looks like we've got the inner assembly there. And it looks like we're going to be attaching it to our center section. Right, now interesting enough, with this one, the parts came in a box. As you can see. Not very good size box for the width of parts. Luckily that didn't break. Right, now inside the box we had this piece, which is actually two pieces. Now, probably done that for packaging wise, but it doesn't help us for assembly. So we do need to take this apart, like that. And having this piece first, we're going to take this piece, and we're just going to slot that in like so. Right, so this is going to attach just like this. We've got the two lugs there. We've got 2 points just here. Just got to line those up, and then this piece here lines up with these holes here. So you do need to sort of put it over like that angle, like so. And then we've got 2 PB screws to hold that together. Now we did only get PB screws in this one. So those lugs that I showed you a minute ago, that grey point, which is where these 2 screws are going. So one in there. And the other one just in there. We then need to take this part, and slot that over, just like so. And then we've got 3 PB screws to hold that in place. Right, final thing to do with this stage is this little white piece. And that's going to sit on top there. Now, it's very, very loose, so that's definitely going to need some glue. And I guess we're waiting for another stage to put these parts on, because that is all to do in that stage. Right, next up we have issue 78. I'll leave all those parts there because we are going to be using them in this stage. So as you can see, we've got the blue bits, got the black bits, which are there. And then we've got these silver bits we need to cut off the sprue. Then we have this piece. And then we're not actually using the piece we got in this stage. Right, so starting off by taking this piece. That's going to just pop in there, like so. Next we have this black piece with the silver detailing. And we have this peg, and we have this little flat section. And that's just going to slide in here, like so. Same thing for this one, which is going to go in the middle here. And that'll cover up all of those screw holes, looking like that. Next we have these parts, which we do need to cut off this sprue. And with those, they'll sit in just there, and just there. Just like that. And then finally for this stage, we have this piece. And just got a few pegs there, and they're going to line up with the holes here. I'm just going to push that in. Like so. And that is all to do in that stage. And as you can see, that's fallen off again. So I will glue that in place. Right, we don't need the Triceratops for the next 3 stages, and then after this we're moving on to the Sabertooth tiger. I decided I'd bundle these 3 together because we're pretty much just building up the right hand side of the Triceratops. So we've got this part in the tracks, similar to what we've done for the left side. So we're going to build up that, obviously using this piece I think as well. Now flick through the magazine. And then in 80, we have that piece, which again, just going to build up on there. Again, not much to do in this one, which is why I'm bundling these together. And then in 81, we're just going to finish off that part of the Triceratops. And we'll have that at the end of it. Right, first thing we're going to be doing is taking this piece from the last issue and popping it over like so. And then in this hole here, we're going to use the silver PWM screw and secure that in place. I'm going to flip that over. We're going to take these two parts off this sprue. And you can just use a sanding stick just to make that flush. And then these are just going to pop into those holes there. Again, if you find they're a bit loose and fall out, which they don't seem to, obviously just glue them in. Next up, taking this piece, that's going to sit in like so. And then we're going to use the PWB screws, which are the flange screws. And we get that one secured in there. And just in there. Like so. Put that to one side for now. We're now going to concentrate on the first of the tracks on this side. So this goes this way around. That will sit in like so. That will then sit in like that. Make sure it all pushes down and lines up. And then we've got two PB screws, which are going to go through there. That's two. And then we have the wheels. And again, just going to cut these off. I've got two smaller ones and two larger ones. And we're just going to push these on with the two larger ones going either end. And then the two smaller ones in the middle. So then I'm going to take this assembly, pop it in like so. Take this piece, pop that on top like that. And using the PP screws, get that secured. So that in there. And then this one in here. And that is all to do in that stage. So very quickly moving on to 80. That's going to pop in there. And then from this side, we have two PWM screws. They're the only screws in this stage. We have one going in there. And the other one just going in there. And then finally, we have another PWM screw just going in here. And that's it for that stage. Right, last part of the Triceratops for this build pack. So we'll just get these cut off this sprue. Similar to what we did a minute ago. We're just going to assemble the track like this. Making sure it all clips together nicely. You have two PB screws in the top here. and then we're just putting the wheels in. Right, so we have those in there like so. The larger ones on the outside and the two little ones on the inside again. Taking this section again, I'm going to pop that in like so. I'm going to take this piece, and as we did on that one, that's going to go like that, and then we're going to secure that with two of the PB screws. So one, and two, like so. And as you can see, that'll move up and down, just like that. Next, we've got some of the detailing plates to put on. So we have this one here. That's going to push in like so. That's actually quite a tough fit on, so that one definitely won't need any glue. We have this one here, like so. And then we'll put that to one side for a second. Oh, no, we need to put this piece in as well, at the front there. Now, that one did feel a bit loose, so that might need some glue. But then we're going to move on to the claws. And it's quite simply just a case of pushing these parts over here. Now, all of those are really, really loose. So I will definitely be gluing those in place, because as you can see, they just come off that quickly. But to finish this off, that's just going to sit on there like that. And again, that's going to need gluing as well, because as you can see, that's not staying on by itself. But that is all there is to do in that stage. Right, so I've just glued all that claw in place, and I did realise I've missed off this little detail piece here, which is going to go in there. Right, now the last part of this build pack is all Sabertooth Tiger. Now there's not a great deal to do as far as I can see in any of these issues, so I'll bundle them all together. Let me know in the comments below whether maybe on the next build pack what I do is just bundle by Zord. So obviously I've just done the Triceratops, and now I've just about to do the Sabertooth Tiger section. So let me know. So we're assembling the other leg. And as you can see, not a great deal to do. Flick through the magazine, and then 83, continuing the leg. And I think in the last build pack, I combined a lot of this together. And 84, got the middle section of the Sabertooth body. I'm going to be attaching that leg into there, but we're not actually doing anything with the Sabertooth Tiger itself at the minute. And then in 85, we have the tail. And again, not doing anything to attach that to the actual body of the tiger at the minute. And that's the last flick through the magazine. Right, so first thing we're going to be doing is assembling the foot. Now we've got some PWB screws, which I believe are these ones with a thread lock on, and then we've got these PB screws. Now the first screw it asks you to use is a PWB screw, and it's securing this foot together. Now, last time, I think I just used the PB screw, mainly because these ones, I believe, are going into this section when it's assembled. So I'm going to leave it so that I'm using the PB screw for this part. So that's going to push in like so. We then have the bottom of the foot like so. And as I say, I'm going to use a PB screw for this piece, because there's no reason for this to be thread locked. It doesn't move or anything. And if I remember right, I think there was that mistake in the last stage as well. I'm then going to take this piece, and we've got this joint. And that's just going to push in there like so. Make sure it pushes all the way through, like that. And then we have these two silicone rings. We're going to place one of them there, the other one there, and then we're going to sandwich those between these parts. So that in there, that one in there, lining up that part, get that pushed together. And this is where I am using the PWB screw. Now, I've never known thread lock going on a plastic screw. Normally that's something you reserve for going into metal. We've got that now like that, and as you can see, it does move nicely. And then we do have another PB screw, which is going in there. Now, interestingly enough, there is enough screws to warrant this being a PWB screw, but I don't see the purpose of it being a PWB screw. I don't even see the purpose of those being PWB screws, to be fair, as I say, with this thread lock on it. But that's what it is. And okay, a PP screw going in there is probably going to be a better one than one of these shorter ones. But that is all there's to do in that stage. Right, so these are parts for the next stage. As we did before, we do need to cut these off the sprue. And the same with these silver parts. And then taking the leg, we're going to take these open-ended ones first. And we've got this little slot here, or tab, which is going to go into the slot you see there. So just push those in. And then these silver parts are going to go in here. Now there is a little keyway, so just line that up, like so. And then flip it over. And on this side, again, got a tab and a slot. So just push that in. Push that one in. And then we've got PB screw in each of those. So just holding that silver part because that's what you're screwing into. And then we're just covering up this side with these plates, like so. Put that to one side, bring this over, and then we're just pushing this into here, like so. That's all to do in that stage. So we'll bring up the last stage we have for this build pack, which is this chunky piece of metal, and we've got a couple of screws. Put that to one side for a second. I'm going to take these pieces, we have this section here, and that's going to push into this slot just here. Like so. Then taking the leg, that's going to slot in like so. And then this is going to go on here like this, making sure that that goes into that slot. So you might need to move it around with a pair of pliers. Just so you can get that in like so. And then we'll close that up like this. Then we're going to secure that with a PB screw. Now we had a spare PB screw from the last stage. Like so. And then taking our body, this is then going to go in here, like so. And then using this screw hole, we're going to use the silver screw. And that's just going to go into here. So that's the rear leg of the saber-toothed tiger attached, like so. And that is all to do in that stage, and all there is to do in that build pack. I was getting ahead of myself because we actually still got the saber-toothed tiger's tail to do. So starting off with this piece and this piece, that's going to go in there like so. I'm going to close that off like that using a PWB screw. I'm going to secure that together like so. Then we have these two pieces. We have this piece, and what we need to do is basically capture all of this with that piece going over there like so. We have this red piece that's going to slot in there, and then this piece is going to capture all of that together like so. We're then going to take this piece, and we've got a keyway there, a slot there, so it'll only go on one around. Now this will almost certainly need gluing in place, so just taking a little bit of glue, and if you do it on the inside of here, you're less likely to make a mess with the glue. So that's going to sit on there. Just hold that for a second while that glue sets. And then the final piece is this one here, and that's going to go just there and push into place. Again, I think just for peace of mind, I'm going to glue that piece. So just putting some on this piece. And slossing it back there. So that is our saber-toothed tail. looking just like that. Now, obviously, that can actually extend. Right, I figured I'd do a quick comparison of Megazords. Obviously, we've got the little Bandai or Mattel one, I think this is. So, obviously, we've completed an entire Zord. So, we'll get rid of these ones out of the way for a minute. And we'll bring over the Pterodactyl, one from the little one. And obviously, the one we have completed today. So, that is both of them in their chest plate mode. And if we flip them over, again, being careful not to scratch this absolute chrome. It's got, every time I clean it, just get more and more fingerprints on it. So you can already see that the wingspan on this one is so much bigger. So the wings are actually overlapping, whereas this one, they're not. So with this one, again, just a simple wings unfold and the head just comes out on that double hinge mechanism. And we have the pterodactyl. And we have these two clips here, and that's the two clips there that will go into the chest area, or the mastodon area actually, to hold that in place. This one, the clips are up here, you notice. So move that one out of the way, and as you can see with this one, the wings are much bigger, and say they're at least the width of the body. And obviously we have the head that also comes out, same sort of mechanism. So we've got that double hinge mechanism there, and obviously we do have the lights on this one, looking absolutely fantastic. But check out the wingspan of that, absolutely huge. It looks absolutely fantastic. Now if we compare that with the small one, which I'm pretty sure, I think it's Mattel, it almost fits on the wing of this one. So give you a sense of scale, but it's absolutely huge. And obviously we have the flashing lights as well. We can turn that off. This is the only Zord that doesn't have an IR sensor, mainly because I don't think there was any room for it. But we'll put that back into the chest plate mode, because what I will do is bring over the T-Rex and we'll have a little play with the Megazord mode. So to get into Megazord mode, you do have to push this sort of section here, which will loosen up this silver piece here. That will allow you to put the head down of the T-Rex, revealing the head of the Megazord. Now the reason we do that first is because when we bring it over the Mastodon section, we open this up, and also we won't be able to get to that black section that I pushed. And we just fold this metal section out of the way, fold that section like that, and we can just clip that on the side there, fold it around the back, and clip it in the side there. Now we've got these 2 points here. Now that will take these two sections here. So we need to make sure they're folded down like that. Line them up and just click them into place like so. And then we have the Megazord head. And if you remember, with this piece, we can flip it around one way or the other. Like so. And that's going to reveal our Megazord's hand. This piece we can fold up and around. I think that folds up like that, and then like that. So it's in that sort of shape. So that folds flat against there, that folds back on itself, and then we've got this sort of flap here, which will cover that gap there. So that is pretty much probably a quarter of our Megazord, and it weighs an absolute ton. Now with our Megazord like that, we do have what will become the shield that will sit in the hand there, and it does look like it will hold that up quite nicely. It's not drooping or anything, so that's good. But what a beast. And in theory, if it's got any battery power, we should be able to press the button at the back here, and we have the lights on as well. But that is absolutely amazing. Now, I'm not going to do a comparison for all the Zords. I just wanted to do this little test. But I have to say, that looks absolutely fantastic, doesn't it? And it would look a lot better, probably, without all the fingerprints over the front of this. It's one of the things where, when you assemble it, you're going to get loads of fingerprints over it, and then you're going to spend the next half an hour making sure it's all polished and clean. Unless you weather it up, I guess. Because this would probably look quite good if you weathered it. Obviously, the front of this one, it was like simulated, shiny, had this sticker on the front. You just fold that, and if we bring over the little Megazord, and we'll click that in place, we have the side-by-side comparison of those two, and there's no comparison. This is such a massive beast, and with it being like that, that's probably easily as tall already as the full size one of this. So that looks absolutely fantastic. Thank you very much for watching. I do hope you enjoyed that video. If you did, please remember to hit the like button below and give us a massive thumbs up. So I've actually just been taking the thumbnail, and doesn't that look absolutely amazing? I think they all look absolutely fantastic, and seeing that starting to come together now is really, really fantastic. I don't know what we're doing next month, but with one Zord down, there's only 4 to go. I believe there's only 3 packs left of this Megazord, so not long until we have a fully built Megazord, and I really cannot wait. It's going to be absolutely brilliant. If you want to see how it progresses or anything else that goes on in the workshop, please do remember to hit the subscribe button and ding the bell for notifications. That way you won't miss out on future videos, and hopefully I'll see you on the next one. Cheers!